Hello, Brande Davison here. I'm a design team member with SpiegelMom Scraps, and I'm here today with a process video using the Summer's Farm Sequin Collection. So what I have done is I found this amazing, I guess it would be called geometric cut file from the Silhouette store. I got my Silhouette like a year ago, and I still have like the original credit in the design store. So I've been going a little bit crazy trying to not use that up, but actually use it. And that's my inspiration today, is the sequin set and this cut file. And then I pulled out this is legit 2013 Simple Stories Daily Grind. I think this is like the original Daily Grind concepts from Simple Stories. And I bought so much of it. I love the primary colors with the touch of brown. I don't even know, like I have so much left, but I'm sort of hoarding it and I'm trying not to. So I thought, you know what, a great way to use that, because I have lots of scraps left and not a lot of 12 by 12 papers, is to use a cut file. And the colors in this have the blues, the oranges, and the yellows of the Summer's Farm. And then it brings in a bit more of a teal, a bit of a green, a bit of a brown. So it seems like a really good contrast, but also a way to focus on the colors. So I simply went through all of my scraps that I have left from this kit, and I just started filling some of the pieces on the cut file. I did cut out quite a bit of this. As you can see, there is a lot of spaces in the cut file, and it took me quite a few hours to fill all this, but throw my podcast on. I was recording the whole time, throw a podcast on my ear, probably the Scrap Gals, and I just sort of went to town and really just embraced the process. So as part of this kit are these 4x6 acetate, either overlays, I think is what they're intended for. And this one had all the months of the year, and some were white on the acetate, and then some were orange or blue or yellow, which was just too amazing because they perfectly matched the sequin set. So I thought, oh, I'm going to use these to fill in some of the cut file spaces, but essentially make them the cover for a sequin shaker pocket. So anytime I've done a sequin shaker pocket, I've used, clear acetate, basically leftover packaging, let's be honest. Or I've used, in a couple of instances, vellum. And so this felt really quite, bold and risque for me, even though it's clearly not. But I really, really love how it turned out. And I'm not sure I would use the overlay pieces. I don't do pocket life cards, and I'm not sure I would overlay on a photo. So this was just like, kind of opened my mind to, wait a minute, I've always avoided sort of buying these or when they're part of a kit. And I think this is really going to change my mind, because I just love how it turned out. It just gives a really different element to the peak of the sequins behind. So you'll see that in the final stills here and as I make it. But and I used, sorry about my head there, I used the very same technique I did with the paper. I just sized it on, and then the only thing I did is, instead of adhesive glue, which I use Scotch Quick Dry in the fine line bottle there, I did use Suquang or Scotch, what is that called? Score tape, if you will, because I thought the glue would move a little bit too much on the kind of the slidey surface or the smooth surface. So other than that, treated it just like paper. So now I've got a whole, it looks like just a mess, but also quite fun. This is the back of the cut file. And I have, most of what I want filled in. I am looking to put this on white paper, so I do want some to show through white. I think that helps bring the pop of color from all the other pieces through. And then for the actual pockets, I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. I did, with the acetate, when I'm going to put the sequins, I did use just some really thin foam tape. As you can see there, the black tape to outline it, so that the sequins had a little bit of room to sit in. Sometimes I don't use foam tape. I think most people would think a shaker pocket always has foam. Sometimes I don't, because I want the color of the sequins and I'm not worried about the movement. And so I just use like Suquang, fold over the plastic, make it super easy, kind of using sequins almost like a pattern paper. But in this case, I wanted quite a bit of movement in the sequins. I just thought that would be particularly fun, just being how fun this collection is as well from Simple Stories. So there I filled up all 4. What you did miss is me hitting the cut file and spilling most of the sequins out onto my table. So I spared you that pain and probably some expletives and cut through that here, and I'm back to where I was at before, with the sequins in each of the sort of the foam lined trays, if you will. And now I've just taken some packaging that I just keep a little stash of packaging when I go through things. And I've just peeled off the other side of that double-sided adhesive foam strip, and I'm just putting adhesive over top and just sticking it down. So apologies, some of this comes off the bottom of the page. As I get into the intricate work, I've pulled it down so that you don't see the top of my head. But, you know, sitting here now, days later, I realize that also means you can't exactly see what I'm doing all of the time, or all of what I'm doing at least. So I do push the file back up again here shortly. So I've just repeated the process. I've got my acetate down as a backing of my cut file using sequin because it's slippery. Then I've put the foam tape exactly around the outline again. It's double-sided adhesive. I've put my sequins inside of the foam tray, and then I've just put simple extra packaging from my stash of, you know, recycling, upcycling packaging on top. And then once it's all stuck down, I just make sure, I just go back through and I just trim the extra packaging. And if you couldn't see through the cut file at all, I would only worry about that where you could see it. But because I have left some of those blank, I did have to cut all the way around the foam, but super easy with a really good sharp pair of scissors. And I've got those like Tim Holtz tiny little scissors that are just like super, super sharp. So now what I am doing here is I've got my white background, but because I popped up my sequin shaker pockets on foam, I also need to pop up the rest, or otherwise the paper wouldn't, the cut file wouldn't lay flat on the paper. So that's all I did there. And I've got like a big roll there. It's like 30 feet of Studio Caccia, if I'm saying that right, their foam. And so I've just gone through and added a bunch of foam strips. So that's my background. This is the photo I'm using. It's from quite a few years ago. It's me and my little brother, who, crazy enough, just finished grade 8. I have a massive, amazing family of just amazingness. And this is the youngest of us 7. And this is us quite a number of years ago when he was quite a bit littler. And the thing we always did was, it's called All My Love Hug. And, you know, it's a normal hug, but you give an extra kind of like almost hurdy squeeze, if you will. And, you know, the harder you squeeze, the more you love the person, kind of thing. So that ends up being, in fact, the title of this. And I will go back through and flap some journaling, probably exactly what I just told you there, on here as well. So I've just taken some more papers. Again, I've got, you know, a bunch of extras from this kit that are mostly scrap size. And I've just put a couple of them behind this photo. They don't end up staying though, but now that I see it, I don't mind it. And then again, those photo overlays that they provided, I didn't think I'd use them. They're a nice stiff acetate. This speech bubble was one of the photo overlays that was included in the Daily Grind collection. And I really loved the speech bubbles. And a lot in the Daily Grind, the stickers and stuff are actually based on speech bubbles. And I thought, oh, you know, we're kind of like speaking our love to each other with a big hug and how hard you squeeze. So it just seemed like a cool little play on words. And this little heart right by my scissors right now is probably what sold it for me, because anything with a little heart just is like, I don't know, reminds me of like Care Bears and a little heart on their bum, and they're so cute, and it just, you know, always gets my attention. So I've decided to just poke those out the side, and then I'll balance those later with the title. And I did get rid of those 2 pieces of cardstock behind the photo. There's more than enough going on, and I thought with the white border, it actually stood out a little bit more. And now I'm going to go through I had some flair left over. I've got some sticker sheets. What else did I have? I think I did some fussy cutting from some Pocket Life size cards. That heart there, the red with the polka dot background, and the click is actually from a 2x3 card that I fussy cut, I don't know when, and added to this little, not many die cuts left of this. I think I bought 3 of these little die cuts, probably even before they were called die cuts. Simple Stories calls them bits and pieces, but I think they always do that. And I just went through all of these extra little bits and just started kind of piling, making myself, you know, sort of loosely the triangle design. So, you know, kind of classic design, you know, draw the eye into the middle where the photo is by creating some sort of triangle of embellishments or color around where you want your eye to focus. So I don't think about this when I'm making my pages, but it sort of ends up happening for some reason. I think it's just aesthetically pleasing on the eye, and so it's kind of natural to create that way. But when I look back through my scrapbook pages, I see I do it quite a bit without sort of intent, even though I'm describing it to you here like as if I did. So yeah, so you see me doing a little bit more fussy cutting there. I have to say, I've never been a pocket scrapbooker. I love them. I think they look fantastic. It is my brain does not compartmentalize like that, so I find it a challenge to fill cut files, let alone to fill things in pockets and make it all look coordinated. So I'm like a one collection girl, or the Wild Hair Kits makes kit. You know, when they were around, I was on their design team, and Allison made a specific kit for me that worked. So pocket cards are hard for me, but what I do love is having them because they often have, like you'll see what I'm doing here, they often have some of the greatest little things to them. Like, for instance, that speech bubble for the record, that little guy that says click, the other phrase stickers I put on there, which are at the very bottom, I'll slide this up shortly, which says everyday memories. You know, they're just a great way if you love fussy cutting, which I do, especially, you know, with a podcast on or Netflix. Um, they're just a great way to actually augment your die cuts in your kit. And then what you have left of them is usually great to just poke a little layer out behind your photos or whatever you're working on, or to use to back little spaces in cut files. Um, I'm more prone to fussy cut a pocket life card, regardless of the size, than I am to fussy cut a 12 by 12 paper. It just, cutting a 12 by 12 is like a big commitment to me every time, even though I'm like very much spend out, don't hoard, well, except for this collection and a few others. I'm just so much more carefree, I think, in my use of pocket life cards than I am of 12 by 12 paper. So when I buy a kit, I don't hesitate to also get the pocket life cards, and I'm quite excited when those come with kits that you know that I've purchased or from design teams. So yeah, so if you're not a pocket scrapbooker, don't shy away. You know, same way pocket scrapbookers don't shy away from 12 by 12 paper, because you know they can cut them up and they make perfect inserts for those pockets that they're working with. So you know, it's all great creative fun. So you can see here that triangle's coming together. I do end up moving the words at the top there, the red and the 2 yellow. I bring those into the 3. At this point, it's a bit of a 4 design element. And then I've taken the alpha there is, again, from the Simple Stories Daily Grind collection. I had lots of it left. On a just extra piece of packaging, I just cut a strip the length of the title that I want. And then I've just spelled out with the alpha, all my love hug. All my love hug. And this, for me, having that on the plastic, so the stickers, so the thick alphas aren't sticky, is just a great way to move a title around the page without commitment. I find quite a few of the very skinny alphas, right, like a Simple Stories, like they're very thin paper, that you can put them down and lift them up again on a page because they're not super sticky, but they eventually sort of peel a little bit on the edge, and it, you know, probably not obvious to anybody else, but I know where I've picked them up a few times and it bugs me. So this little plastic packaging technique seems to really work for me. I picked it up from Crafty Jen Scow, who uses wax paper. And I don't have any of that. So I used some, you know, extra packaging from my scrapbook garbage can one day, and it seemed to really work. So I've stuck with it. So this is me just gluing things down. This is the hardest part. You lay everything out and then you got to go back through and somehow find a way to get it to stay exactly where you wanted it to be. I do find I've tried to take pictures of it and then like remove it all and glue it back down, and it never works. So now I'm sort of a pick up one at a time or tilt things to get the glue underneath kind of gal. And I do pop up this heart that you can see I just put down there. It's a kind of a newsprint heart that's on that red polka dot background speech bubble, and it just seemed, you know, the all my love hug and the heart there just seemed like the two sort of focal points. I really, really enjoyed that. Yeah, and then what I have and my little clusters is a mix of stickers, flair, and die cuts, whether I've fussy cut those myself or otherwise. And I just love the multi-texture. Then you throw in the acetate of the speech bubbles and of the shaker pockets, plus the sequins in the shaker pockets, and it's just a really bright, I don't know, just so many great textures. And I think just the cut files and the shape of the cut file makes it look like there's a lot of movement. And then those sequins are free to shake about. Like they, you'll see I'll pick it up and they just really move around and I just absolutely love it. So it took me a while to get all of these sorted because I do have a lot of the stickers and such left, but most of them are around the days of the week. That was kind of the point of this collection back in 2013, I think was sort of when the day in the life, week in the life stuff was really starting up. And I've never scrapbooked that way. I scrapbook the pictures that bring me joy. I file them in an album designated for that year, or if it's a big trip, I scrap the trip pictures that bring me joy in no particular order, and then I just file them in one album, sort of in order for that trip. So I've never done the day in the life or the week in the life. The only time I've started to dabble into that is in the last few years. I've started December dailies, which is, obviously by the title is a daily, and I absolutely love it. I just love Christmas, but I just can't imagine doing that for the rest of the year. It's just the two of us with our furry Landshark Jack Russell puppy. No kids. We have a pretty consistent routine, and so I just think I'd be probably scrapping the whole thing. So instead, I focus my kind of daily intentions on a gratitude journal instead of a day in the life, and then my scrapbooking is just for whatever story bubbles up, whatever collection I keep kind of rubbing as I'm going through my scrapbook room, or whatever picture I find on my phone or that's already printed or that I come across on the computer that brings me joy. And this is an older photo that I went through when I was doing some archiving of my photos on the computer that I hadn't scrapbooked before. And, amidst all this COVID stuff, I can't see my family. They're a province away up here in Canada. And so I've been feeling a little family lonely. And so it just seemed perfect to do this page of one of my most famous, my most loved little humans, although he's not little anymore, is my little brother. So yeah, very fun. I always ask my little siblings, or my siblings for their kids if I can post their photo. And he was quite chuffed to see that I had done this page and was more than happy for me to share it. So that was also kind of cool. Gave me an excuse to reach out to him and amidst all of his texts from his friends and say hello. So that is me. I am pretty much done. You can see I keep shaking it because I love the sequin so much. And here's a few stills for you, some close-ups. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are staying well. I hope you are getting the chance to get crafty. And if you need some more sequins for your stash, because, spread the sparkle. Every page could do with a few sequins at least. Be sure to use Brande 15 on the SpiegelMom Scrap Shop and save 15% off. Thank you so much.